Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am Rocky. This is Eric.
Victorian England had a huge influence on the fashions and styles that were happening in Highland dress in Scotland.
Tartan is Scotland's gift to the world, and it is your personal heritage story. Howdy, boys and girls. Welcome to Kilts and Culture. I am Rocky. This is not Eric.
Yo.
Yes, we planned that. This is Sean. For those of you who don't know, Sean from Sean Vlogs is a YouTube creator. He's got a really awesome channel. Please go check him out over on YouTube at Sean Vlogs. And we are streaming to both his channel and the USA Kilts channel simulcasting today. So if you're seeing me and wondering who the hell is that bald dude on Sean's channel, hi, I'm Rocky. I own USA Kilts. We have a channel over on YouTube where we talk about kilts, Highland wear, all kinds of things, Scottish, Irish, Celtic, kilt related. So please go check us out if you're seeing me on Sean's channel. So, and what we normally do for those people out there is we get questions from the audience. Some of them are preloaded questions that we've already had, sent into us. Other ones are going to be live questions that we're answering from you. We have Eric on the other side of the screen who's in the middle of getting things ready, so he's not going to be on screen right now. So, fill in your questions in the comments below. Let us know what you want us to talk about. As always, we are your humble servants here to answer all of your questions. So, today, are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
Special treat outside of Guestos. Oh, shoot, I did that wrong. Hold on. Special treat. I got to slide it in. This is my shtick. I'm just horrible at remembering what I do. So, today, the Balvenie Caribbean Cask. This was given to us by Alex Huckabee. Thank you very much, Alex. So we are going to try this whiskey, Scotch whiskey, Scotch on the show today. Have you ever had the Balvenie?
I have a long time ago, yeah. I don't actually remember it, but I'm sure it was good.
Fair. If you don't remember it, it must have been good.
Yeah, exactly. It was a good night.
Exactly. All right, Mr. Eric, if you would, come on up here and
I'm coming.
collect your glass.
Right.
Nice
There you go,
color.
sir. And, yeah.
Oh, here
All right.
I am.
And before we get into it too much, so while Eric is standing there in his hat, what tartan are we wearing today? Eric, what tartan do you have on there, buddy?
This is actually black shadow tartan. So it's not really a tartan, but it's
It is
cool.
a tartan. It's got a black on black shadow.
It's a tartan that lost its memory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna go sit down.
Mr. Sean, what do you have on there today?
I am wearing American Dream.
That is a beautiful tartan, Sean.
It's really nice. I wonder where I got it from.
I have no idea.
It is really good. I love this. I love the concept behind it. I love the ideas behind it, and it looks fantastic as well.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
We did not pay him to say that.
Or maybe we did. Today, you can see a little bit of it. I am wearing, there's Eric. Today, I am wearing the Stewart Old Tartan, the Wilsons of Bannockburn variant from Strathmore. So this is a tartan. My wife is a Stewart. I wear this one for her and for my father-in-law, who's old, and the old Stewart. Yes, so that's what we're rocking today. All right, now, back to the matter at hand. The Balvenie Caribbean Cask. All right, on the nose, what are we getting?
Would you like to hear the tasting notes first or later?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you their spiel, and then I'll read what they say the nose should be after you tell me what the nose is gonna be. Okay.
Okay.
The Balvenie Caribbean Cask 14-year-old single malt whiskey has been matured in traditional oak whiskey casks for 14 years, and then finished in casks that previously held Caribbean rum. The result is an exceptional single malt whiskey with the traditional smooth, honeyed character of the Balvenie, married to the notes of toffee and a hint of fruit with a warm, lingering finish. I'll just say Caribbean rum is pretty freaking vague.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Speaking as a rum person.
See, the problem is we just popped the top, and now I'm getting a lot of alcohol-y kind of smell, so I'm trying to swirl it around a little bit to gas it off a touch, just to get more of the nuance out of it.
I'm getting a lot of fruit, to be honest. Like something like maybe even a port.
I'm getting the sweet toffee-ish kind of smell.
Their notes for the nose are rich, sweet, and creamy toffee on the nose, combined with fresh fruit notes.
Yeah.
Bing!
Makes sense.
You both.
How do you smell creamy toffee?
Well, I don't know. How many toffees have you smelled?
All of them.
Okay.
I smell all the toffees. I'm a
Toffee sniffer.
yeah.
Let the record
Sounds
show.
very creepy.
Oh, we're going downhill fast. I can tell.
Oh, I haven't even started yet. So, all right. Toffee. Okay. All right. Get a little sippy sip.
Slanger.
Slime. Smooth.
Yeah, it's smooth. Very, very
Yeah.
smooth. I like it.
I get none of the kind of on the back end of it. Get a little like I don't want to say the most generic Scotch freaking tasting word ever, vanilla, but I do get a little bit of vanilla-ish kind of taste to it. I don't know if that's the cream from the toffee.
I'm kind of getting dark fruits. I don't know what it is.
Dark fruits.
Dark fruits.
Define dark
Like
fruits.
dark red. You know, like a kind of cherry type of thing.
Okay. See, well, we joke all the time that the tasting notes you could just make mix them all up, and the random words that people come up with, like red fruits or green fruits, and
Yeah.
like, but
Red
what
fruits is the
type
one that
of
uses
red
this.
fruit, or what is it?
Yeah.
Just fruit punch? Like what is it?
Yeah.
So,
I'm definitely getting like a kind of cherry.
okay. I think you're leading the witness, but I don't disagree.
But I like it. It's good.
Eric, are you getting any rum?
I am a bit actually. There is a bit of a like a dark rum
Yeah.
tone to it. Yeah. Do a little water. I can't disagree on the nose. It is sweet. It's a
Would you like
little
a touch?
burny.
Yeah. Go for it.
It's a little burny, but I don't expect that to last.
I'm getting a burn as well. I can feel it.
I'm not.
I didn't at first, but it came in afterwards.
I'm getting on the sides of my tongue, if anything, like a weird, like not like numbness, like there's something wrong, but a little like tingly on the sides of the tongue for it.
That dog is not dumb.
Yeah,
the rest
yeah.
of the
I'm gonna
flow.
talk about the rest of
Oh,
the
yeah,
flow.
problem.
I think I just left the dentist. Did you read the tasting notes or just the? Ooh, that lightened it up a
According
touch.
to them,
Yeah.
you should be having an experience of a rounded with vanilla and sweet oak notes with a fruity character that develops with time. I must say, these are pretty simple taste
Yeah,
notes.
but
They're
it's-
playing it safe.
I like the fact that it's simple and it's not like here's
Right.
this essay of all the flavors you're
Right.
supposed to taste that we just
Yeah.
give you all of them. No, I got the vanilla.
With a finish like the dark side of the moon.
Yeah, I get a little bit of the cherry, and I still taste the rum a touch.
And they say the finish should be warm, soft, and lingering.
It's definitely lingering. Oh, wow. It is good. I can feel the burn. Not in a bad way, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like a warmth.
Yeah. No, that's not bad.
Yeah, it's good.
Eric,
Are we rating?
we're
This range of the ratings? I like
Sure.
it. I like it. It's but I'm a rum drinker.
Yeah.
So this definitely reminds me of rum. I just still think Caribbean casks is very vague, but yeah, I do like it. It is little almost. It reminds me a tiny bit of sherry. It's very creamy.
okay. Getting the Bob Marley vibe from it. Don't worry about a thing.
It is very rich. I'll give that as like a very rich,
Yeah.
lingering
Yeah.
richness,
Yeah.
which a lot of people love. For me, maybe it's a little bit too rich. I like it, and I can see people like that richness will drink that happily all night. But I think for me, I tend to prefer something a little bit lighter.
Sean, do you find you drink different things or prefer different things depending on the time of the year?
Definitely,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
this does feel nicely seasonally appropriate. I'd say this seems like a nice winter
absolutely,
option. Yeah.
like mid-December, like it isn't it? Like coming into December,
Yeah.
nighttime, snowing outside.
Makes me think of pudding, basically.
Yeah,
I like it. The thing I like about it is, I like the richness of it. I like that word. That was good. That was well timed.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that it's not a lot to it. It's just good.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to describe. It's not trying to be 80 different things. It's not trying to have like super complex, crazy notes and stuff. The 3 or 4 notes that they gave me, I get.
Yeah.
I do get the creaminess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try this. Ted Straub just commented that anything that is from a Caribbean cask, he feels like it has a kind of a molasses vibe to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
For me, it's more of a caramel with this. Toffee caramel.
See, now I'm looking at the legs on it. It's got crazy legs. It's got legs for days. Am I right? But it's almost like it's not sticky, but like a honey.
Yes.
Like it's the molasses kind of thing. If he means like it's a consistency of molasses or something like that, not quite that much, but compared to like a regular Scotch.
Yeah. And interestingly, coming in for the second sniff after drinking it, I've lost that kind of cherryness, and I'm coming into more kind of sweetness.
It's also because it's been breathing for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, Ted is also chastising us for chugging a not inexpensive Scotch. And
chugging?
No wonder it's Bernie, he says.
Chugging?
No wonder you think it's Bernie.
My good sir, chugging.
I am wetting my lips.
Yeah. One of my employees back at Celtic Classic, we were drinking. I usually bring a nice bottle of Scotch. So, because it's a long day, legs are sore, you need something to take the edge off. It's medicinal at that point. So,
purely medicinal.
Give everybody a little Dixie cup filled with some Scotch. At that particular year, I had Lagavulin, so I was pouring out good Scotch. So, gave it. I'm like, all right, Derek, here you go, and he just shot it.
Shut it right down.
What? What? Like the horror in my eyes. I'm like, you're not allowed to have any more now.
I think shotting it is fine as long as you appreciate it first.
No, he didn't.
Oh well, yeah.
In fairness, he's young. He was younger, and he was just like, "Oh, thanks."
Yep.
And I was just like, "Oh."
Thing is, if you give a glass like that to someone who doesn't know, it looks like a shot, right?
Yeah.
I think, boom.
Yeah.
You should have known better. It's just an Egypt.
Damn kids.
Gentlemen, I will inform you at this point we have viewers from Germany and New Zealand and Shropshire.
Wow.
Among other places.
From where's the third?
Shropshire.
Where's that?
England.
In England.
Oh, right on. Okay.
We've got multiple time zones there.
Yes, indeed.
St. Petersburg, Florida.
Late. Nice. Very good.
And some guy in Royersford.
Sweet. The locals. Yeah. Okay, Eric, why don't we rate this 1 to 10? For those who have never seen our rating system, here it is. We rate it 1 to 10. 2 or below, you politely refuse and don't really want it. 8 or 10, 8 and up is you would physically drive somewhere to go get this. 10 is, oh my God, I would sacrifice my mother to get this. And, average is 5, 6, somewhere in there. So, and we give decimals. We get in there with the scores. Eric, all of that said, how do you rate the
wasn't paying
Balvenie?
attention, sorry.
Okay.
No,
I
really like this
dogs
quite a
and a
bit.
cat.
This is definitely in my wheelhouse. I would give this like a 7.8.
Okay.
Maybe an 8, but
It doesn't break the 8s?
Yeah, it does. I would go out and buy this. I would.
Okay.
With someone else's money, probably.
Official number?
But I'll go up to 8. Just around 8. 8.0.
8.0.
Yep.
Rookie score, that's fine. Sean.
I'm a little bit torn here, right? And the reason is, I know this is an expensive bottle of whiskey. That is a good whiskey.
Do we know how much it cost?
I'd love to find that out.
110 was one number I heard.
Okay.
Yeah, that is a good price bottle of whiskey. And I like it. It is good, and I can absolutely appreciate there's going to be people who like that richness who are going to love it. But for me, I think I could get just as much enjoyment out of a 20 or 30 bottle of single malt Scotch that's on sale, like a Jura or something like that.
That'd be about 40 or so US.
Yeah. And so, for that reason, I'm actually going to score a bit lower and say 7.2. But I appreciate it. I understand there's going to be people like yourself who are going to love that.
Yeah.
Probably for me,
just the flavors I like. That's all. But yeah, we do say that a lot. I mean, it's just kind of like people talk about with wine a lot. It's basically how much it costs or what other people say about it really doesn't matter. It's whether you like it or not.
Yep. And one thing that we do is as much as it's a gift, so you're not supposed to, but we look up the price anyway because we need to factor that into the score. So
Yep.
if it's, you have a spectacular bottle of $50 scotch,
Yep.
then you maybe bump the score up a little bit because it's a very good value versus something that's $150 and you're like, oh my God, this costs that much money. Yeah, so that is a factor. Very good point. I'm going to give it an 8.2. I dig it. I dig it. I do. I didn't think I was going to. I won't lie. The rum cask kind of threw me off a little bit, but I think it adds a nice je ne sais quoi, a little just something. So yeah, 8.2. I dig
Why
it.
is the rum always gone?
Good score.
Yeah,
Good score. Yeah.
indeed.
It's a really good dram actually. Could enjoy that all night. I actually think this is one. It's a grower. I feel like 3 or 4 drams in, you're going to start to really appreciate it.
3 or 4 drams in, you appreciate any scotch more.
True.
Yes. I will say this. I am absolutely going back for seconds. So this show will go off the rails. Would you like any more, Mr. Sean? Before
I'll hold off on a minute.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Just warming up.
That's fine. Put your glass over there. I'm gonna remove the table, and slide this out of shot. All right. Okay, boys and girls, you know the drill, or some of you, if you're coming from Sean's channel, you have no idea what the drill is. Load in your questions, anything you have. Today, we're specifically trying to gear the questions more towards travel a little bit, or more towards the differences or the similarities between the U.S. and Scotland. So we're kind of taking more of the culture aspect of our show. We're exploring that a little bit today. So, Mr. Eric, over there in the MC chair,
Yes, sir.
do you have... I know we have some that were pre-submitted questions.
Oh,
What do we
that's
got
right,
going on?
Rocky. Today we have a special question here from Coffin M. James.
Howdy
All right,
do.
I'll stop doing that. In fact, I'll change my hat. Happy holidays, y'all. This one's a wee bit more comfortable anyway. All right, so this question was aimed at Sean more, and this is I'm having this echoed by a few people on the chat. What is your favorite part about traveling and why?
That's a really good question. I think for me, it's genuinely, and you can go to see some beautiful parts of the world, right? But genuinely, it's meeting people from different parts of the world with different, who've come from a different place, grew up around different cultures. That for me is what travel is all about, and that's why I love it. I love meeting new people. I love the spontaneity of meeting new people as well.
Yeah.
Could be out in a bar, could be drinking whiskey, speak to the person next to you, and learn about their life. That's for me the best part. Love it.
When I travel, I love going into, like, if I'm staying at a hotel or something, I'll ask, the people at the counter, okay, where do the locals go? I don't want to see the tourist stuff necessarily. Where do the people that know go? Where's the best session music tonight? Where's this going on? What's the best, bar with the best, the most number of, bottles of whiskey in it? To just try to find some cool stuff that, get the real local flavor, a true sense of current day Scotland, England, Ireland, Germany, wherever you're going, versus just the tourist trap kind of stuff. There's something to be said for that too.
100%.
Because there's a lot of history that you can explore and things like that. But it's about the entire culture, not just the made-for-TV culture, if you will.
100%. You can be, let's say you're going to a conference and you're in a place for a certain thing, and they're going to take you to the things that you need to see. They tick off all the big attractions. But then the best of it will be if you can escape that type of scenario, go off to a bar, meet someone, and say, "Hey, take me somewhere." I've done that a few times.
Yeah.
And it often leads to all kinds of mischief, but it's good fun.
That's why the one thing I'm not a big fan of like prepackaged tours or a boat tour thing, whatever they're called, cruise, because you're stuck with that agenda.
Yeah.
And I have too much of my own opinion on what I want to do one day, or I like this place. Let me spend 4 hours here. Nope. You got to be back on the bus in 2 hours. Like, no, I was just getting into the thing. So
I think there is definitely a case for ticking off some of the big things. Like, there's some things you just need to see, right?
yeah,
Whether they're kind of big famous monuments or historical landmarks, you just have to see them. So I kind of feel like the first things first, get them out of the way, and then go and have fun and enjoy it.
yeah, absolutely. Cheers. Hope that helped. Mr. Eric, what do we got next?
We are getting a few multiple type questions. So some of these may wind up being a little similar to ones that had been asked earlier. By the way, thank you to everybody who submitted. Mary Ellen Cook asked, really wants you to talk about the blue bonnet tartan for some reason. I'm guessing this is an inside joke from previous travels.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's brilliant. I love Mary. So she's actually one of my viewers that I met out in Texas when I was in San Antonio, and she was explaining to me all about the blue bonnet tartan, which is a Texas local tartan.
Yep.
I don't know exactly the story behind it.
I do.
I would love to hear it, but basically, I met the Scottish Society of San Antonio out there,
Right.
And those guys are really, there's a lot of people out there who've got Scottish ancestry, and they were saying they need. I got honorary citizenship to San Antonio, which is unbelievable.
Nice.
One of the most crazy things that ever happened when I travelled is that day getting an honorary citizenship to San Antonio, and they told me all about the local tartans, blue bonnet, and apparently I want to hear more about it. What is it?
Well, the difference is you get honorary citizenship when you go places. I get asked to leave.
I want to hear one of those stories.
Not live on TV. No, the blue bonnet tartan is one. It is I forget whether it's official or not. I don't think it's been like Hanukkah by the Texas legislature, but it is maybe it is official. I don't know. But it is one of 3 Texas tartans. It is by the most widely used one. It is copyrighted. It is only available from a company called Scotland Forever. The owner's name is Roxy. Really, really nice lady. So if you need the blue bonnet tartan, go check her out. So it's one that it's the most used and widely loved of the Texas tartans, and it's based on I believe, their state flower, which is the blue bonnet.
The blue bonnet, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice looking design.
I love those people out there. The Texans are amazing. I had such a good time there.
Yeah. Those crazy Texans.
Texas is a different place for sure, but they're always but they're known for their hospitality.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Big time.
We met some
Big time.
really, really awesome people out there,
Yep.
and Mary was just one of them.
Cool. So our good friend Kirk asked a question which I think has been on all of our minds, and Joseph Culpepper also asked this very similar. What are the biggest faux pas or mistakes a tourist can make while visiting Scotland? Similar line, what are your thoughts on the Celtic American identity and how to navigate respectfully when you're visiting the UK or Ireland? So, how can you avoid being an ugly American, and how can you really?
Yeah, that's a big loaded question, right? There's a lot of ways you could talk about that, but maybe I'm different. Maybe I'm different, right? But
There aren't many like you.
Yeah, I generally, I don't feel offended by people coming to Scotland wearing whatever they want. Like, I think it's amazing. And then if they're wearing a kilt, for me that means that they at least take an interest in the culture, or they have some ancestry, or they have some kind of connection. And I feel it's an honour to Scottish people that people are doing that, right? And so I think anything to do with Scottish tradition, tartans, kilts, and all the rest of it, I don't believe you can go wrong there, unless you basically buy a towel that's in a kilt form and you put that around you, which some people do, by the way.
Yep.
Everything else is basically fair game. And I genuinely think that one of the biggest mistakes can you make? You could probably walk into the wrong pub wearing the wrong football shirt. That's a mistake you could make, especially in Glasgow, and actually Edinburgh as well. That could happen. You could walk into like a Celtic bar wearing a Rangers top, or vice versa. That would probably be a bit of a faux pas. And it wouldn't end well either.
Be a violent faux pas. Yeah.
But in terms of actual kilts and tartan, I just don't see it being an issue.
I would take a minor issue. I would say this: there would be, to me, there's a sliding scale of kilt towel on one end, proper Highland dress on the other end, and a lot of things in between.
Yeah.
So just north of the kilt towel would be like a costume, like a Halloween costume type of thing, or a Sia Jimmy hat, things like that, things that make a mockery of it or make it a caricature that you're trying to, have fun with or whatever. I would not necessarily look kindly upon that if I was living there.
But by the way, there's very few like American tourists that do that. It's usually the kind of stag weekend type of people that do that.
Yeah.
I've never actually seen that from like a proper tourist from, North America, for example.
Yeah. Minor note for the American viewers: stag weekend is like a bachelor party.
Yeah. There you go.
So yeah, no, but how do you avoid being the ugly American? Typically, and again, air quotes around that, Typically what I say is, and Eric would say as well, is, be a good ambassador. Be a good ambassador of your home country. Be respectful of the people who are hosting you or the people you're speaking to. Just be a nice dude. Like, don't be a jerk. As long as you're treating them with the same kind of respect that you would want to be treated with, it's fine. They're going to, generally speaking, Scots are very, very friendly people. The Irish are very, very friendly people. Chances are, as soon as you open your mouth and they hear that American accent come out, they're going to be like, oh, you're from the States. Where are you from? How long are you here? Who are you visiting? What are you going to see? Does you have family here? They're going to ask questions of you in the same way that you're going to have questions for them. Yeah. So as long as you're just having a mutual cool vibe conversation, have at it. Just don't be a jerk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing I'd really love to add to that is the fact that I don't want people to come to Scotland and worry so much that they're not going to have fun.
No.
Definitely not. Because you could be worried about all these rules and what you need to wear and all the rest of it, and then you worry so much that you're not having fun anymore. And I think that's key, right? You need to come and enjoy it and get involved. Don't be too nervous by offending people, because ultimately, no matter where you go, you might accidentally offend someone, but you can't control that. There's always going to be someone, right?
Yep.
Come and have fun, enjoy it.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mr. Eric.
And along those lines, I'll pick up a question from StrayCat1674. Hey there. He's asking Sean, would you actually like to see more of your fellow native Scots wear the kilt more often as a standard daily dress?
Yes, definitely. This is something that I'm sure will come up a few times in this conversation, this kind of topic. But ultimately, the bottom line is we don't wear kilts very often. I can think of, in one hand, the amount of times I've worn a kilt within the last 10, 15 years.
For shame, sir.
Yeah.
For shame.
But you know what? And it's even worse than that. I would say that's probably about normal for most people in Scotland, and maybe even less than that. We wear them for very specific occasions. So, graduation parties, definitely. Weddings is a big one. People wear kilts for weddings, but day-to-day basis, it just is very unlikely that people will be wearing kilts. Certainly, myself and most people I know wouldn't wear kilts on a day-to-day basis. But that doesn't mean that it's wrong to do so. And actually, fact, this trip here to the States, where I have been wearing this kilt every single day, apart from one day when it was pouring the rain, but that's another story.
You may want to wash it.
Yeah. But I feel a bit liberated by that, and with the fact that actually it's cool and people like it.
Yeah, and it's a conversation starter.
Exactly. So yeah, I wouldn't base the fact that we don't wear kilts every day as something to go off, but I do wish people would probably experiment a bit more with it.
Yeah, as long as they don't feel like, the problem is the Scots, I'm going to speak out of turn a little bit. Scots are of the mindset that they have to, it's a formal thing. Like, you wear the kilt for fancy dress. You don't wear it every day, except if you're, Tartan Army type guy. And it doesn't have to be. That's where I kind of take, I like Howie Nicholsby's line of, he's trying to return the kilt to what it was, which is, everyday dress of the everyday man. Just wear it, throw it on like you would wear a suit, like you would wear jeans or whatever, and that's what you wear for the day. There is something to that. There is something for liking your clothing. Like, what kind of emotional attachment do you have to your jeans?
That's a good point. Some of those jeans have a story to tell, right enough, but we'll not go there. No, but that's dead right. The kilt has so many connections, whether, for example, it's this one that has that amazing story behind it, an American Dream, or if it's family connections, or if you've been somewhere and you love the place and there's a tartan connected to that. There's so many reasons why you would have that connection and that the emotions that go along with it, and that, if you have a piece of clothing that means that much to you, wear it.
Why let it sit and waste away in the back of the closet?
Definitely.
If you paid, whether it's $100 or whether it's $600, it doesn't matter. Like, you paid good money for this thing. Yeah. Why, hold it away like it's some, religious relic? It's not. It's a piece of clothing that means something to you. Get it out of the freaking closet and wear it.
The word that comes to my mind constantly when thinking about kilts and tartan? Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Always comes back to me, nostalgia. That's what it's about, right? It will give you a memory of family members who might not be here anymore, or a time in your life, or something, or a wedding.
Yeah.
It could remind you of your wedding.
Yeah, or a place. Yeah, every time. Yeah, I'll say that. Every time I wear my Scott Green weather kilt, I'm thinking like, oh, this is my wedding kilt. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yes, more Scots should wear kilts, including this one.
Definitely.
Every day. New channel, Sean in a kilt.
Kilted Sean. There you go.
It needs to it needs to happen. That could be the new brand.
There you go.
So let me springboard you guys a little bit. Let me find this first. Where is it? All right, it is. We had a viewer. This wasn't a question. This was a comment, but I think you'll find it interesting. It's going to inform the next question. Lynn Denana, excuse me, says, after I grew up and realized the sacred history of the tartan, I feared offending a Scot, so no longer wear them, even though plaid was my absolute favorite growing up. So there's somebody who's intimidated themselves out of actually wearing tartan because they don't want to offend a Scottish person. Meanwhile, Jeremy Forsyth had asked us, what are your thoughts about how Americans approach their Scottish heritage and kilts versus people in Scotland? So you've already talked about, I think, a little bit about the Scottish side of things, but how can we help this person feel a little better, and how can we answer Jeremy's?
Yeah.
Let me jump in first. Kind of addressing the first part of that. The kilt, the tartan, it's not a sacred relic. It is a pattern with a history to it. It is a pattern with meaning to it. More meaning than most. It's not, a Lily Pulitzer pattern that goes out of season, next season. It is something with history, and it should be revered to some degree and shown some degree of respect, but it is not a holy relic. Tartans, as a thing, evolved over time. They did not come down from the mount on high and say, here is the blessed book of tartans, let them forever be here. This is it. They evolved. And we were talking just before this show about the Sir Walter Scott kind of inventing the tradition, not quite out of thin air, but close. And then a few years later, the Sobieski Stewarts, who designed tartans, put them forward and were like, hey, these are 100 years old or so, I promise. Can we see the original book? No, but here. And they just made them up out of thin air as well. So every tradition starts somewhere. Tartans had an origin, yes, but they were not some sacred thing with billions of years of history to it. It was a cloudy origin story, a con job in some cases. So it's not something that you have to fear wearing or doing something wrong. Every time somebody starts something new, whether it's wearing a kilt or whether it's, learning to ride a bike, it doesn't matter. You're going to screw it up. You're not going to do it right the first time. But you have to start. And that's the point. You just got to go out there and start doing something. If you feel uncomfortable with wearing a tartan because you don't want to offend somebody, which is a very, very valid way to feel about it, then wear a universal tartan. Wear one that has no clan affiliation. That way, you don't have to worry about offending anybody because you're not treading on someone else's heritage or culture or name, not that you really are anyway.
Yeah, I mean, from my point of view, it makes me really sad to hear that there's someone out there who's watching who feels so bad with this, but that they don't wear it anymore because they're worried about it. I think
a lot of Americans feel that way.
It's really sad. And to put everyone's mind at ease on this, right? This is genuine truth. I would say like 99% of Scottish people, first of all, probably by looking at you couldn't tell what the tartan is, right? That's a matter of fact. And second of all, even if they do, they will absolutely not be offended by the fact that you're wearing it, regardless of whether you belong to a certain clan. Because most people in Scotland don't choose tartans based on their family anymore. Now, that's not everyone. There are people who do, in certain pockets, but the vast majority of people, especially those who live in the central belt of Scotland, Edinburgh and Glasgow, the main cities, which is a large part of the population, to be honest, we tend to choose tartans based on something that we like the colour of. I know lots of people who got married in a tartan that wasn't their family, but they chose it because it would go well with their wedding set. And so that tells you that no matter what family you're from, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to offend anyone in Scotland. I think there's a greater chance of offending someone in America rather than Scotland, to be absolutely honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong there. I don't know.
No, it's weird. There's a lot of times Americans are sort of weirdly de facto gatekeepers for certain things, or this is the way my dad told me or my grandfather told me it was done in Scotland. Therefore, this is the truth, period. It's never going to ever change. This is exactly how it is. How dare you wear a clan tartan that isn't your own, or how dare you wear a kilt or whatever, because they're gatekeeping the culture, even though they're not Scottish, they're Americans with Scottish descent. So it's a weird one. You have, there's an entire spectrum of people, ranging from I'm going to wear what I like just because I like it in America, all the way up to no, you should only wear your family tartan. And that's all just America. Where in Scotland, Sean's been telling me all day and all of yesterday, it's not nearly, they're not nearly as concerned about it as we are. Americans are much more obsessed over doing the right thing, making sure you're doing it the right way, making sure you're not offending anyone than the Scots are. They're just, they're in it. I like this, I like that. Put them together, boom, that's my outfit done.
100%. Like, I will choose tartan based on, even like tartan trousers, for example. I'll wear them based on the other clothes I'm wearing, not based on what family they're related to. You know what? I think there's killjoys in every walk of life. Whether it's ice hockey, whether it is whether it's tartan, kilts. Anything you can think of, there are gatekeepers, and there are killjoys, and they're a very small percentage, but they're usually the loudest people. That's the annoying thing, right? But ultimately, you just have to ignore them, right? Because the vast majority of people don't care, and they will feel, I think, humbled and appreciative towards you if you make an effort. It doesn't matter what tartan you put on.
I will add this as well. Speaking of killjoys, you can't live your life, and your happiness cannot be defined by what someone else might think of you if you do a thing.
100%.
Period. It's if you want to do something, if it means something to you, if you're not hurting anybody, then piss off. It's you do what you want to do to make you happy. And remember, 98% of the population either will not care or will support you or will love it, versus the loud 2% who might have something to say. Who cares? It's their opinion. Let that be their problem. Don't make their issues be your problem.
Definitely agree.
Yep. Very good.
So endeth the lesson.
Exactly.
I love that, Ryan. That was brilliant.
We're getting more questions and comments than I can
More
possibly
whiskey is
keep up
better.
with. Thank you, everybody. And I think there's a lot of people. The vibe I'm getting is that people are happy that we're trying to set the record straight, that you don't have to worry about the gatekeepers, and you shouldn't be too uptight about the clan thing and stuff like that.
It's a balance.
There's a lot of intimidation going on apparently.
Yeah.
So I mean, feeling intimidated, not intimidation, but
yeah.
So let me flip this on you a little bit then. We had one or two people ask about your respective opinions on utility kilts and camo kilts. The all-American.
Would you ever wear a camouflage kilt?
Probably not, right? And I was thinking about this earlier. Camel kilt. Like, I probably would look at one and think that looks a little bit weird. I thought that for a minute, and then I remembered I went to a wedding wearing an all-black kilt as well, like you're wearing as well. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of thought, like, what's the difference, right?
The gun rack in the back of your pickup.
Yeah, exactly. But ultimately, you can be playful with these things. You can try different things. I personally wouldn't wear a camo one, nor would I wear one with pockets on the side of it. But if you want to do it, rock on.
Yeah, it's not. I'm similar-ish to you. Even wearing my, if I wear a utility kilt, I have worn kilts with pockets on them. Utility kilts brand. Before I've worn a Kilts brand before as well. It's not the same thing. I will say, without trying to sound snotty, and this is not meant to sound snotty at all, I kind of outgrew it. It didn't have the same meaning to me that tartans did. It didn't have the same pull to me that tartans did. So I've, for the most part, stopped wearing utility kilts. Once in a while, if I'm going to be, running around doing yard work or something, then I need a bunch of pockets for screws and things, and I have a little project to do, then yeah, maybe I might wear it. But for the most part, I stick to tartans. Camouflage, I was never a big fan of camo print for a kilt. It is done. People do it, but it's not my favorite. Here's why. Because when you pleat a tartan kilt, there's a pattern on it, and you're pleating it either to set or stripe, and you're recreating the pattern. On a solid color kilt, it's just solid color, so you don't have to worry about it. On a camouflage kilt, there's a pattern, but the pattern is generally like 24 inches or so wide,
Yep.
so I can't make it line up, so my OCD won't let me do it. So, now, it's camouflage kilts aren't for me. It's not to say that they aren't for anyone, but not my cuppa.
Well, I think one thing I'd add to that, and I just remembered a story that might be quite relevant for this, right? I remember going to a concert, and I can't remember who it was, but it was a big American rock band. We're talking someone like Red Hot Chili Peppers, of that level, right?
Okay.
And I remember one of the lead people in the band came on stage wearing a very non-traditional kilt.
Was it either Black Label Society or Ozzy Osbourne with Zakk Wylde?
It could have
I
been.
know you like Ozzy.
But yeah, I love Ozzy. But the fact is, they came on stage wearing a kilt in Scotland, and the crowd went nuts. And that shows you, and people loved it, because it was like, that's them recognising our cult. Even if it wasn't like a traditional kilt, it was a recognition that they are giving us some kind of like respect and
nod.
homage. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
There's a lot of there's I will say a history of that. I know like Muhammad Ali wore a kilt when he was in Scotland. I know Mr. T's worn a kilt. I know Snoop Dogg has worn a kilt when he was in Scotland. I know Jonathan Davis from Korn wears kilts on a he also plays bagpipes. But there's a lot of I know Jack White from the
Yep.
White Stripes has worn a kilt when he was in Scotland. So there's a weird history of bands or celebrities or personalities going to Scotland or other countries and then wearing the national dress of the country.
Yeah, and
So-
usually those kilts are not traditional ones. They're usually out there. Like, they might sometimes be brightly coloured, but it's a gesture behind it, right?
Yeah.
And people recognise it, and I think that should be a lesson for everyone out there watching. Like, the fact that you're coming to Scotland and you're thinking about wearing a kilt is already endears you to us.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's drawing the line between celebrities. Yeah, I'll draw that line. I'm going to underline it too. No, it's 2 lines, parallel. If celebrities can do it, why can't you? If celebrities are going to go to Scotland and going to be looked kindly upon and shown a positive reaction for wearing a Scottish national dress and not mocked and oh how dare they, if they're given a positive reaction, as polarizing as celebrities can be, what does it matter if Joe Blow from Idaho decides he wants to wear a kilt when he's in Scotland? So go ahead, Joe Blow, wear your kilt in Idaho and Scotland
And
too.
Scotland.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe Blow, wear your kilt in Idaho.
That's
Love it.
why I did that. You're welcome.
We should start a band.
Thank you. Thank you very much. No.
Not under that premise. Other bands, yes.
So Stephen Pickering had asked about. He said, "What do Scots?" And I'm not about to ask you to speak for all Scots. Think of America, the American laissez-faire attitude that there sometimes is to proper kilt wear. Now, you two both seem to have some feelings about this because you mentioned, like you wouldn't wear. What was it you just said? You didn't. You tail kilts weren't really for you anymore. You said they weren't for you. His example was how Americans will sometimes wear T-shirts with a kilt or not bother with kilt hose or wear conventional socks, and he feels like that's just too casual. So, is it disrespectful to go too casual?
How dare you, sir, be casual in this sacred dress?
Sat here and wearing like a pair of jumpers and t-shirts.
Exactly. It's do I personally, dislike it? No, frankly that's how I dress. So if I offend you, I'm sorry, good sir, but I don't care. But it's I will typical day in the office, I'll have on a kilt and a polo shirt and a pair of like crew socks like halfway up my calf and a pair of sneakers, just running around doing my thing. I'm not putting it on a pedestal. I'm giving the kilt the proper respect it deserves, but I'm living my life in a garment that I like, that means something to me and has greater cultural significance. But it is not a uniform. You don't have to do it one way and only one way. Traditional Highland dress, which was formed from basically the late 1800s to the mid 1900s, is a snapshot in time. That's traditional Highland dress. we're no longer living in 1920. If you want to dress like that, they will always look good. It looks very, very smart. Wearing a nice tweed jacket and vest, maybe a goat hair sporn or a nice hunting sporn. Like, it looks good. I'm not going to say it doesn't, but it's not for everybody in every single situation. If I go to the mall, how many people do I see dressing in the 1920s style dress in the mall today? None. So I'm not going to dress all the time like it's 1920s. There's a class to it and it's fun, but unless I want like a crazy amount of attention outside of already wearing a kilt, I wouldn't dress like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think absolutely right. I totally agree with you. And if anybody wants an example of, how people in general can dress wearing a kilt and be non-traditional, go to a Scottish rugby game and see how people wear a kilt there.
I don't know if they're great examples of spectacular matching dress.
No,
yes.
but like genuinely, like people are worried about how folks in America might wear a kilt and how casual it might look. Well, you can go to a rugby game in Scotland, you'll see how casual you can get. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it or whatever, but there's not one way, right? The formal way to wear a kilt is for formal occasions. Weddings. If you go to a wedding, everybody wants to look their best, right? You want your shoes to be shining. You want all the bits to be in the right places. That might have sounded wrong, but you know what I mean, right?
I love that he pointed towards his crotch and said he wanted his bits to be in the right places.
I was thinking about the sporrans and all that. But anyway, you know what I mean, right? You want everything to be perfect for the photographs. And that's what the proper kilt attire is for, right?
Yep.
But outside of that occasion, outside of those formal events, you can be creative and you can look good. And if you want to still be traditional, buy a proper woolen jumper or buy like a tweed something that looks a bit more casual, or a shirt.
Yep. Buy a dress shirt and a tweed vest.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
These stuff still have these items you just talked about. They still have cultural and historic significance as well.
Yeah.
They're still part of the art of making traditional clothing. So there's different ways to do this.
Yeah, and I would actually add this. I'm going to take it probably a bit too far, but I'll say it anyway. I do like and fully appreciate the look of a tweed jacket and vest, and all that is. However, in certain circumstances, it can look like you're trying too hard. So if I'm at the mall dressed to the nines, whether it's a 1920s, pinstripe suit, or whether it's a kilt and tweed jacket, or whatever it is, you can look like you're over the top too much, or like you're trying too hard. So for me, in my life, I'd rather just be comfortable in my clothing and enjoy what I'm wearing and add my own little flair to it. But I don't feel like I need to impress people at all times in all places.
Definitely. And I think another thing as well to remember is kilts were a practical item, right? If you look way back in time, they were a practical item used to keep you warm and to store items that you needed for cutting meat or whatever you were doing, right? Back in those days, and even to more modern times, people would go hunting in a kilt. Now, if you go hunting, you're not going to go hunting with a
Prince Charlie and your jabot and.
Can you imagine hanging the deer over your shoulder, right? With like a proper jacket on, right?
Yeah.
You need to wear the appropriate stuff for that.
Gear.
And a kilt can be used in all different scenarios, whether it's hunting, whether it is. We've got hunting tartans, for goodness sake.
Well, the hunting tartan thing is a bit of a misnomer. It's not necessarily for hunting.
Yeah.
Correct. But yeah, you have different horses for different courses. 100%. So I hope that helps. All right, Mr. Oh,
no, sorry, I was going to say pass the whiskey.
Oh, sure, that I can do.
And just as I thought, actually, it's getting better and better as we go on.
I know it. This is dangerous.
I'd like to get you on record with something. I want to get off kilts in a moment here, but I can't resist this one. Gent by the name of Paul said, "Guys, please, sporns to the side. Proper way of sitting in a kilt. Should you shift the position of your sporn when you sit down in a kilt?"
I have never heard of that before in my life.
No, neither have I.
I just wanted your confirmation. Thank you very much.
No, no. If anything, the sporn helps. Let's talk about man spreading, shall we?
Yeah.
As a man, I'm not sure if you're a man, but did you say the name of the guy? I don't. If it is a man, I don't want to actually answer.
I'm just saying his name is Paul.
Oh, Paul. Okay. when I sit down in a kilt, it is I've never seen a picture of anyone in a kilt sitting with a sporran to the side.
No.
Basically the way I teach people to sit down in a kilt, said something to you earlier today. Basically you get near a chair, you crouch your knees down a little bit so the bottom of your pleats are below the very, very edge, the lip of the chair, and then you kind of put your hand on your sporran and you back into the chair a little bit. This helps contain or maintain your modesty. Sporran off to the side, there's no weight in the front. You end up with your, the front apron flat across the front. Insert picture of, guy sitting next to Queen Elizabeth here. Exactly. But it's one of those where, it's functional for carrying things. It's also functional for holding down unsightly bulges, and making sure you maintain a bit of modesty.
And also just looking at, I know I've eaten a lot of cheesesteaks on the strip, right? If I was to sit down on this chair right now with my sporran to the side, I wouldn't fit in. It's going to rub off the side, right? And so that practically that doesn't make sense to me.
Too many cheesesteaks, huh?
Too many.
Indeed. All right, what was the next question?
I lost track. That just really that gave me a laugh. And in case anybody's wondering, there's plenty of historical precedent. Just look at McKeon prints and stuff. You'll see plenty of 19th century guys with their sporran in front, sitting down.
Yep.
It was good enough for our forefathers.
There are certain. Hold on. There are certain exercises that I will pull the sporran to the side. Jumping. Running across the street or a little jog. You don't want, to ball tap yourself, to drop yourself to your knees. So there are times where, yes, you move the sporran out of the way. However, in the instance of sitting, it actually helps more than it hurts.
And also, if you want to grab stuff, it's right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Sat down. What's in my sporran?
Yeah.
I don't know what's in your sporran, but mine's empty right now. Anyway.
There's a Capital One ad in here somewhere. What's in your sporran?
But we could go on. I'm going to choose to move on, though. We've had a number of people ask about, I'm going to put this out to both of you, but mostly you, Sean. Quiet, out-of-the-way places in Scotland, Ireland, Wales, or even England where you'd go for a relaxing, non-tourist environment. Hidden spots that, if you can get to, you really shouldn't miss. Favorite getaways.
That's kind of a difficult question because Scotland is a really small country. It's probably, I don't know if this for sure, but I would imagine it's smaller than the state of Pennsylvania by quite a long shot. And we receive a lot of tourists every year. And so there's barely an inch of land in Scotland that hasn't been explored or visited. Pretty much in a day trip from either Glasgow or Edinburgh, you can cross the whole country. It takes like 4 hours to drive from the south to the far north. And there are certain islands which probably at one time were considered remote and out of the way, like Skye, for example, which is so saturated with tourists that by going there, you're going to be competing with tourists for... And actually, we did this quite recently, a couple of months ago. We could not get a restaurant reservation at all when we went to Skye 2 months back. It was impossible.
Frickin' tourists.
Tourists, right? And in one way, that's great for the locals who've got lots of business, but in another sense, it's not like an off-the-path, unexplored place by any means. A couple of places I will suggest, though, and again, they're not off the path, they're not unexplored, but I really love to go to the Isle of Mull. Great place. I love it there. And the fact that you have to catch a ferry to get there, it does create that little barrier that stops the masses from going. It can get busy there as well, but the Isle of Mull is a fantastic island. It's a big island. It would take like 5 hours to drive around it slowly.
Is it southwest of Scotland?
Probably directly west of Oban.
Okay.
So basically if you look out from Oban, you can pretty much see it. Another thing, so there's a couple of great things about Mull. First of all, if you go to the south of Mull, there is an island just off it called Iona, which is where Christianity was founded in Scotland.
Yep.
There's a lot of stories you can look into about that. And by the way, it's gorgeous. Second of all, there's lots of beautiful nature, wildlife and all that. You can see white-tailed seals and all sorts of stuff there. Third of all, Tobermory is a gorgeous town. It's probably one of the most picturesque little villages anywhere in Scotland. Like, they've painted all the houses different colours. Gorgeous. And they also have a good whiskey in Tobermory called Tobermory.
Oddly enough.
So yeah, I recommend Mull. There's lots to do there. You know, you could spend 4 or 5 days there easily, and not run out of things to do, unless the weather's terrible, which it can be.
Nice. Yeah, when I was across, I've been to several different places. I haven't been to the Isles yet, but my favorite non-touristy kind of place was probably Aberfoyle, because it's kind of a very small town, middle of the Trossachs. We stayed at a place, I think it was called McDonald House or something. It was just outside, but it's a very small town, right on, is it Loch Ard, I think?
Might be.
Yeah. So that was beautiful, and it was serene. There wasn't a lot of people there. Now, I went in January, but it was one of those, it's about an hour north of Glasgow. So that was great. And when I've told the story before where I took a day trip from Aberfoyle through the mountains to Glasgow, or to Callander. And it's kind of a winding road in between. And then on the way back, there's a little tiny spot to park your car, some benches, and we just kind of sat and watched. My wife and I sat and watched the sun go down over the mountains, and it was like dead quiet, and it left this weird impression on me of like, wow, there's no street lights, there's no nothing, there's no noise. You could hear a pin drop. So it's one of those where it's just a neat, serene type experience. So that was mine. And as far as if you want to see a city-esque, but have it not be too touristy, there's spots in Inverness, and it's a good central location to visit a lot of non-touristy type spots, like up north, or the Culloden battlefield is touristy, the Clavacairns are touristy, but if you go off season, you can see some touristy spots without people. So I am a proponent 100% of going to see Scotland in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta deal with some snow potentially, or some icy kind of roads, but it's beautiful in the winter. It's more brown, less purple, but it's still a great time to go.
And autumn as well. Autumn is fantastic. And I know this really wasn't the question, but like kind of to build on what you just said there, is the most overrated place in Scotland, which everybody knows about and everybody goes, and you've probably been as well.
Edinburgh Castle, Royal Mile.
Well, that's close, but no, I actually quite like it there. That's my hometown, so I'm not going to say bad things about Edinburgh. But Loch Ness, very close to Inverness.
Okay.
It's not the most beautiful spot in Scotland, and it's definitely one of the most overcrowded tourist spots in all of Scotland.
Was it Urquhart Castle's right on there too?
And it's beautiful. The castle's awesome, right?
Yeah,
but like
cute.
it's not the most beautiful part in the country. It just isn't, and everyone goes there. Go there to see it, see if you can spot the monster. But definitely the most overrated from my point of view.
Fair, good point. No, I went on Loch Ness. I did. It's very, very black. I'm surprised how black the water was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went to Urquhart Castle. It's fun. It's ruins. It's great. But yeah, I agree. It's touristy-esque.
Definitely.
Touristic-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I make up words a lot, dude.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's for damn sure.
Mr. Eric, what do we got?
I'm overwhelmed here, dude.
Well, it's about mid.
Tell you
Why
what.
don't you take a break?
I'm going to take a break and bring you guys our special feature, the Kilt Ambassador of the Month. Hey everybody, our Kilt Ambassador, Robert Porter, his friends call him Bar, is a big-hearted gent who served in the United States Marine Corps from 1986 all the way up to 2007. In the Corps, he had a number of positions, including MP, criminal investigator, drill instructor, and Marine combat instructor for water survival. He retired with the rank of gunnery sergeant, or gunny, as they call it. But that career, as impressive as it is not our main reason for naming Bar as an ambassador. You see, Bar goes by another, more famous name, Gunny Claus. Since 2016, Bar has used this fun and original persona to support the mission of the Toys for Tots Foundation. For those who don't know, the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots program collects new unwrapped toys each year and distributes them to less fortunate children. Their motto is, "No child should be without Christmas." Gunny Claus takes this very seriously, with his own tagline of Semper Festivus. He's busy year-round. You can check out the links in the description for more information on what he does. Now, when he's not working for Toys for Tots in upstate New York, or hobnobbing with other Santas, Bar helps out with veteran honor flights to D.C., and the Disabled American Veterans Association. Barr also plays paintball, swims, plays soccer, skis, and rides a unicycle. The man is in tip-top shape, let me tell you. Above all, Barr is an avid motorcyclist and a member of the American Motorcycle Riders, Aid to Injured Motorcyclists, the National Coalition of Motorcyclists and American Bikers aimed towards education. Funny enough, Barr grew up thinking he was Polish. He only later discovered through meeting his biological mother that he has Scottish ancestry. His first kilt was basically just for fun, something to wear during paintball games back in San Diego in the late 90s. He says he loves the kilt because, quote, anyone can wear a uniform or suit. Only a few can wear a kilt. I'm very proud of my heritage, and wearing the kilt is a part of that. And of course, ladies love a man in a kilt. Barr feels heritage is important because if you don't know where you come from, you'll never really know where you're going. So, we want to help Gunny Claus in his efforts, so we here at Kilts and Culture want to encourage you to consider getting involved with Toys for Tots. It's really, really easy, guys. You can learn more about it at www.toysfortots.org, and you can also drop off toys in those boxes you'll see popping up around your neighborhood. One great thing to keep in mind, most of your donations will go to kids in your area, so contributing to Toys for Tots means you are helping out families in your own community. Now, we can't promise you're going to meet Gunny Claus himself when you donate your toys, but like we said, you can follow his adventures online. Thank you, Barr, for all that you do. To you, and to all the good boys and girls out there, let me just say, Semper Festivus.
So that is Gunny Claus, a very, very interesting human being. Eric, you're the guy that interviewed him and had the most interactions with Gunny Claus. How did you find him?
He's like I said in that video, he's ridiculously fit. The guy is taking care of himself, and he's using his powers for good. You know what I mean? Like, he's keeping himself healthy and very active so that he can do something that is bigger than himself. I had a follow-up conversation with him, and he was saying that because he sent some photos that included him and his team on a bunch of tourist buses. And apparently that's like the Toys for Tots team going from point A to point B in upstate New York to cover their territory. It's something like 5 counties and 200,000 toys or something that get given out. So I hadn't realized the scope of his particular area. It varies from place to place, but it's a major undertaking. You know, like it's like a rock band going on tour for these guys to reach all these out of the way places to get the toys to the kids. So he is one man who's fronting a very important operation, I felt. So, and we do have a separate video that we posted talking more about Gunny Claus directly. But he's a great guy.
He's a Marine. He helps with the Toys for Tots program, which is basically the Marine Corps from the U.S. going out collecting toys to give to underprivileged children and
amazing
things like
That's
that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Round of applause for that guy. Hopefully everybody can go and check that out who's watching.
Yeah, he's on TikTok as well, so go check out Gunny Claus on TikTok. Yep. So here's to Gunny Claus. Slanja. All right, Mr. Eric, what do we got going on?
All right, well, we got the warm feelings going. You know what I mean? So let's keep going with those good feelings here. Gent going by Felix the Gray asked us. He said, "How do I gain the confidence to wear my kilt out for the first time?" For context, I've worn it to Ren Fair, but not out and about in my town. And I'm going to dovetail that with another question from Steve Sanders, who for Sean was, what was your first experience wearing the kilt, and were you nervous? Yeah. So how do we help this guy get to the point where he can do this?
How do you get over the mental curb to go out and wear the kilt for the first time? And what was your first experience wearing the kilt? Now yours is obviously much different. You know, you were in Scotland, you've grown up with it, but
yeah, definitely. So from a young age, in Scotland, there'll be opportunities where you're invited to an event, like either a wedding, and this can be from a very young age, or high school graduation or primary school graduation. So from a very young age, you get exposed to that type of thing, and so we will have that kind of opportunity quite early on. I guess where it becomes more nerve-wracking as you get older and you think, all right, where else can I wear it? And there's been a few instances that I can remember where I was kind of like, I felt like out of place. I remember once where my wife's from Brazil, for example, and we got married in Scotland but also in Brazil. And when we got married in Brazil, as I made my way from the hotel I was staying at to the wedding venue, I had the kilt on, and that's obviously something that is like totally out of the realm of possibilities of something you will see in Brazil.
Apparently not.
Well, yeah. Well, what I'll tell you is, wearing a kilt in a place where you don't see them very often makes you a celebrity. It makes you into a rock star. People want to know you. They want to know what you're doing. They want to take your photograph. They want your autograph. You become like a celebrity rock star, and that's kind of cool. It's a conversation starter, and so if you're nervous, just remember that people love the kilt. All kinds of people love the kilt, and for different reasons. But it's a popular thing. People are going to love it. They're going to ask you questions. I was in DC the other day. People were stopping me like, "Can I take a photo of your kilt?" Which is pretty cool. And here's yesterday as well. We were out and about, and so yeah, I understand the nervousness around it the first time, but just know people are going to like it, and they're gonna probably stop you and ask about it, in a good way, in a positive way.
Yeah, I would also say this: it's kind of like anything you do. The more you do it, the easier it gets. And as the other way to think about it is, the first time you do anything that you've never done before, if you don't have a memory of doing it for your entire life, or you've never been immersed in it, it feels weird. Like the first time I kissed a girl, I remember I was scared to death what was going to happen. Like, I don't know what was going to happen, but I was scared. I didn't know, like, oh my God. I'm traveling back in time traumatized right now. And the first time I wore a kilt was kind of similar. I remember getting my first kilt, actually two at the same time, in my mid-20s, and thinking like, oh, okay, I got these. Now what? Like, where am I going to wear this? And like, I remember being like, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I wear this? When should I wear it? Why should I wear it? Are people going to think weird things about me? Am I going to be beat up? Like, what's going to go on? And in my instance, I wore it on a bet to my gym, and my big gym rat buddy went with me, and I won $50 for wearing it to the gym. But it's one of those things where you just need something. You need something to just push you over that edge, just get you over the curb. And once you look back at the first time you've worn your kilt, like the next day, or the third or fourth or 100th time you wear it, you look back and go like, what was I so nervous about? That made no sense. In the same way I look at, kissing my first girl, I'm like, what? I've kissed, millions. No, tens.
Oh,
I've kissed threes of girls. And my mom doesn't count this time, guys. No, but it's one of those things where you look back at it and you're like, why was I so nervous? But it's still there. And the older you get, the more those thoughts creep into your brain, and the more unsure of yourself you are in certain areas that are outside of your box. I mean, I think as we all grow older, we get comfortable in our rituals. We get comfortable doing things. And then you have to get, put outside of that comfort zone, and you don't know what to do or how to act or how to feel. My son, has been wearing kilts since he was little. Not every day, but, put him in kilts just for different reasons, go to festivals or whatever. So he's never going to have that, like, it's going to feel weird wearing it. Because he's grown up with it, and it's fine, and it's part of the gestalt that is in our family, versus somebody that's just getting into it in his 40s or 50s or 70s or whenever you get into wearing a kilt.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, to be different is a cool thing. I like that. Diversity and all that. I think it's amazing if you have something that's a bit unique. Because let's face it, if you go out wearing jeans, like everyone's wearing jeans, and wearing a kilt for whatever reason, family reasons, or just because you like it. It's something different, and it's a story to tell.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get people asking you questions, and it's gonna be positive.
Yeah. And the more of a peacock type person that you are, the more you like attention. I won't say crave, but the more you like attention, the easier it's gonna be. If you're one of those like wallflower, I want to blend into the background and never be noticed, never talked to, never seen, I'll just kind of go along, kind of person, then yeah, it's going to be more difficult. And you're going to have to find your own courage yourself. No one can do it for you. Now, there are tricks, there are tips to be able to do like a Celtic festival or go to other events where there's going to be other guys wearing kilts. That might help you get up the courage to do it and feel like you're not the only one doing it. But there's also something to be said for the, committing the confidence, the bravery, proving it to yourself that it doesn't matter if no one else in the gym, no one else at the mall, no one else at the grocery store, or the Amish market, Eric, is wearing a kilt. It's just you've decided you're going to do it, and you do it. That's it.
I'd love to know from you guys, actually. Have you ever had a negative interaction from when you were wearing a kilt?
From us, me and Eric,
from
or
folks out there, or us?
You guys, both Eric and...
Yes, but I have a thick enough skin, and the positives far outweigh the negatives.
Yeah.
You'll get 3 scenarios. You'll, generally speaking, for negativity. You'll get the drunks in a bar. Generally guys, not women. Women freaking love it, dude. Hey, 20-year-old Rocky, wear a kilt. Trust me, you'll appreciate this advice later.
Thank me later, yeah.
Exactly. I wish I could time travel. Oh my god. Or you get the random person who is like actually weirdly angry about it because they're some kind of gatekeeper, like Scottish, or are you Scottish? Are you from Scotland? Why are you wearing the kilt? And sod off. Or number 3, you'll get what I would deem the coward response. The truckload of passing kids who fly by you at 90 miles an hour. Hey, nice skirt, pal! Like, who cares? It doesn't matter. Or you get, it's generally juvenile kids. And I'm asking you directly, are you really concerned with what some random douchebag 20-year-old kid has to say about what you are wearing? If you are, you have bigger issues to deal with. Yeah. Go see a shrink. It doesn't matter. Random people, they don't matter. Mm-hmm. Does your wife, does your husband, do your kids, do your parents, do the people close to you in your circle, do they care about it? Are they giving you negative feedback? If so, have a discussion. But I have another phrase that I like to use. Those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. Did that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. You had you're echoing. There's a gent on who's watching who said the exact same thing earlier. A guy named Seamus said that exact same quote.
There you go.
It's true. It's totally true.
Definitely.
I would argue that the sense of American individualism that we are noted for as a culture, we probably inherited from the Scots.
Yeah.
I think it's very much that sense of that raggedy sense of I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah.
Individualism comes from the Scottish settlers initially.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I'd also say as well, from the type of people you described that might have a comment to say, they would have a comment to say for something else if it wasn't the kilt.
Yep.
Or not necessarily with you. If you're wearing jeans, they might not comment. But they're looking to be miserable.
Yeah.
And they're looking to drag you into their misery. And what's the anger is a gift you do not have to receive. If somebody is spewing bile, hatred, anger at you, you don't have to accept that. It's liberating. So if someone comes up to you and goes like, "Why are you wearing a skirt? What the hell? You just..." Like, yeah, thanks. And you turn and walk away, and you don't let it ruin your day. You're leaving that anger and that stupidity and whatever else with them. Let them have it. Don't take it. Just let it there and just keep going. And they're going to be the ones like, "Man, that guy didn't respond to me insulting him." So, great. Let it ruin their day, not yours.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Ramsey commented, "Try to tell a Scot what to do. Now try to tell a Texan what to do. Now try to tell a Texas Scot what to do."
Yeah, that's a mix.
Pretty much.
It's perfect. Along those lines, we're going to give some props to another person who's trying to make sure it's okay for them to actually wear the kilt. Now I'm going to ask you guys some culture stuff, but Isabella Requiem, who I'm guessing is part of my tribe with a name like Requiem, says, "Guys, I have a question. I bought a kilt secondhand, and I didn't know that it was real until now. Didn't realize it was a real kilt, but I'm a girl. Can I wear it? I know gatekeepers are going to think badly of it, but can I wear it? Can I wear a kilt even though I'm a girl?"
How dare you, madam? Oh, get the steak for burning. No, it's fine. It's traditionally speaking, men would wear a kilt to the knee. Women would wear a kilt either slightly above the knee, or a lot above the knee in some cases, or below the knee. So that is the more feminine style of, kilted skirt or mini kilt. And a man will wear a kilt to the knee. It doesn't mean you can't wear it. It's an article of clothing. Again, it's not a sacred garment. So yes, there are women who wear kilts to the knee. Bagpipe, females who are bagpipers, female bagpipers. Oddly enough, aptly named. Piper Alley wears a kilt, a man's kilt, to the knee, and it's fine. She's not a man; she's a woman wearing a kilt to the knee. It's fine. It's a fashion-y kind of thing. We have in the store a lot of older ladies or middle-aged to older ladies who want to have something a little bit more fun or free than a kilted skirt or a hostess skirt, which is like an ankle length, woman's kilt. But they feel a little bit self-conscious, or maybe like, maybe I'm a little too old. It's not age appropriate to wear a mini kilt above the knee. So they're like, can I wear just a man's kilt to the knee? Because that way it's a little bit more fun, but it's not matronly looking. Sure. They do that as well.
Definitely. And actually, it's kind of sparked a memory for me. I guess, we've talked a little bit about how the fact that people in Scotland tend not to wear kilts very often. Actually, out of my friends group, men and women, the people who do wear kilts regularly, that they bought in thrift shops, are women. And they will wear them regularly. Because
like
it's
knee length.
Yeah, proper
Yeah.
men's kilts. And they wear them regularly. Because some of them are Scottish, some of them are foreign. No one bats an eyelid. I'm not sure if that's a phrase that translates here, but nobody.
Yeah.
How was that?
No one bats an eyelid. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Say eyelash.
Yeah.
That's what my mom used to say.
So, I mean, go for it. It looks good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's about it.
Rocky.
Yes, Eric.
Tom Annenson said,
Tom.
my sister is trying to crochet a kilt for me. She is having trouble pleating it. Have you ever run across any workable patterns that may help her, or any suggestions on how she may accomplish this? It is probably worth making sure that he's not misusing the word crochet. Maybe he means sew, but we all know that kilts are not crocheted. Except for those ones in that one catalog.
Except for Tom.
Yeah.
Now, how big are the patterns in the crochet? And is he going to be wearing it regimental? He will leave little to the imagination. Is she trying to crochet a tartan? That could be difficult.
Is it a man skirt or a fishing net? I don't know. It's doesn't bode well.
I don't even know how to answer that. No, there are no patterns to crochet a kilt. Crocheting is similar to knitting, but it's like a hook kind of thing with one piece of yarn versus a kilt, which is woven fabric. Like grandma. I'm thinking like an extra large grandma doily that she would have all over the coffee tables. I don't even know where you would wear that.
My mom has crocheted blankets before, but they're very thick.
Yeah.
And very kind of heavy, soft woolen type of things. So if it's a kilt in that form, I think it's going to be quite a warm thing.
I hope it's a malpropism, just misuse of a word or something. Because I would say that if she is actually trying to sew a kilt, preferably from wool fabric, maybe
woven cloth.
Yeah, woven cloth. Maybe Barb Tewksbury's book would be the thing to advise. It's funny enough, the first thing that Barb says in the preface of that book is, do not crochet this garment. So
it's actually the disclaimer.
Yeah.
I wrote the preface to it,
Oh, did you now? Oh, it's very generous of you.
The foreword, as it were.
So, Tom, have a heart-to-heart with your sister before she gets too far into this and gets frustrated, okay?
And verify she knows what crocheting means.
Yeah. Okay.
The visuals for that must be stunning, though.
Wait till you see
I
what we
want to see
Photoshop
and
for
not
this.
want to see a crocheted kilt.
Oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. There was a trend a couple of years ago with crocheted clothing for men. Just it's this weird thing that like crocheted pants and swimming trunks, and is some fashion artist person's idea of something cool to do, and it's like,
Now here's what we need is a picture of muscly body. Put Sean's head on the muscly body with a crocheted kilt.
Wow.
A little black bar across the bottom, maybe.
I'm sure
No,
we
they
don't
put a
want to.
spore in there. It's fine.
I think that'll turn people off from watching this.
We've tried. Believe me. You should see some of the things we've done to ourselves.
oh yeah. Oh, we can do them to you too.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, you're fair game now.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
Yes.
We have screenshots galore, buddy. You're in
Welcome
trouble.
to the cringe.
Love it. Bring it on.
Be careful what you wish for.
Sean, we have someone who's hoping that he can catch up with you in Philly before you leave. I'm not going to make any promises, but a couple of people wondering what is your most and least favorite American foods, and have you had cheesecake since you've been in Philadelphia?
Cheese steaks?
No, cheesecake.
Cheesecake. Well,
The other Philadelphia thing.
is that Philadelphia? I had no idea.
Oh, aye.
Wow.
I don't know if I knew that.
Oh, yeah. Philadelphia is famous for cheesecake. I think Boston has a good rep for it, too, but
Guess what? I'll be doing on the way home.
there you go.
Well, what I can say is, first of all, I'm here for like 24 hours more, unfortunately. So there's not a lot of time. Second of all, favorite food in the States generally has been Southern. Anything Southern. Like down by Louisiana, down by Georgia. Some of the food down there is just like out of this world. Like good home cooking, rice, beans, and meat. And collard greens and stuff like it's out of this world. Cheesecake I love as well, absolutely love it, and I've done some videos on cheesecake, which is probably why the reference came up. But I've never had a Philly cheesecake. That's
Get you when you come
hard
back.
when I've got cheesesteak in my head. Like that's
I
hard
know.
to say. So any recommendations on particular Philly cheesecakes to have? Let me know.
There you go. There you go. Now I just imagine like deep frying a Philly cheesesteak the way you guys deep fry Mars bars, and it's like,
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we would do
Right?
that. We would absolutely do that. Like we deep fry pizzas, haggis, anything you name it. We'll deep fry it.
I got a question along those lines. You know, you've eaten munchie boxes? I love talking about munchie boxes.
Munchie box.
A munchie box, yeah.
What's that?
Bloody hell, you don't know what a munchie box is. You guys invented it. It's like the late night takeaway places. They fill a pizza
the
box
fried
with all
food.
kinds of fried food. I think they call it munchie box because it was aimed at people who'd been up all night partying and they
Yeah.
need something to satisfy the munchies at
Yeah.
like 3 a.m.
Maybe we did invent it. I don't know, but you can definitely
you
go to the chippy just
certainly did.
ask for lots of different bits and pieces, and it's a good way to end the night for
Where's the best chippy you've ever had?
sure. Best I've ever
chippy
had.
dinner, yeah.
That's a hard question. They're all pretty similar, to be honest. I don't like fish and chips generally. If I go to the chippy, I'll go to I'll eat other things. So I love deep fried haggis. I love it. It's amazing, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
pretty much anywhere that has deep fried haggis will do a good one. I like deep fried black pudding. Really good as well.
Yeah.
But they'll also you can basically a chippy. Traditionally they're called fish and chip places, but that doesn't express the full amount of stuff that they do. Like
Okay.
you can get anything in these places, like kebabs, pizzas, deep fried or not, pizzas
yeah.
with haggis on it. But my favourite thing to have in a chippy generally is deep fried haggis. And in fact, people going to Scotland often recommend this. They'll say, "Where can I get a good haggis?" And I'll say, "Well, actually, there's 3 or 4 different types of ways you can have haggis. You can have it the traditional way with neats and ties, right? That's the way you would have it, like Rabbi Burns night and all the rest of it. Fine, have that. That's great. But actually, please experiment with the other ways we have it as well.
Breakfast.
On breakfast, or more. This is kind of a new thing that's come in. Is haggis burritos delicious?
Oh,
Delicious. In fact, I cannot eat a burrito anymore
Yes.
without haggis on it.
yes.
Amazing. Deep fried haggis in the fish and chip shop places.
The other Philadelphia delicacy, well, actually 2. The one I should have made you experience is scrapple.
Scrapple.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a meat product for breakfast. It's a breakfast meat product that you can either cut thin and fry it, or you can cut a little thicker and fry it, and then it's like kind of gooey in the center.
Yeah.
It's haggis-esque
Yeah.
without crunchy bits.
Okay.
Delicious.
Eric and I were talking about this the other day. Haggis as a breakfast meat 100% makes sense to me.
Definitely.
Putting it like in like a bagel with an egg and haggis on it, like it makes sense for the amount of not savory, but the amount of lard that's in it, and how rich it is. 100% makes sense. The other Philadelphia thing. Have you ever heard of the Philadelphia taco, Eric?
No.
Philadelphia taco.
Is that a euphemism for something? Because I don't know why.
It is not on Urban
Okay,
Dictionary.
okay.
The Philadelphia taco. There's something called South Street in Philadelphia. It's like a shopping district. There's a cheesesteak place on South Street called Jim's. It burned down a few months ago. That's where I was going to try to take Sean yesterday, but it burned down. But a Philadelphia taco. And then there's another place on South Street called Lorenzo's. It's a famous pizza place. And their slices are like half a pie. I mean, it's like literally like that wide and like that tall. It's an oversized slice. A full pizza is probably like 36 inches. A Philadelphia taco is you go get a cheesesteak to go. Then you go across the street to Lorenzo's and you put the cheesesteak in the pizza and you eat it as a taco. So it is a carb coma that is delicious.
Really good, though.
And now I want to add cheesecake to it to make it a full Philly meal, which would sound disgusting. So never mind.
You're definitely getting some love for Lorenzo's and Scrapple and all the Philly.
That sounds amazing.
Stuff.
You know, I've still got some time. You know, I'm going to check these places out tonight. You better believe it.
We're done here, folks. See ya. And somebody asked, did the deep fry craze actually come from Scotland? Historically speaking, yes, it did. Actually,
yeah,
they were the ones who invented fried chicken. Actually,
and actually, you guys do it better. So we started it, but you guys perfected it. USA, USA. The best, like the fried chicken, for example. Like we have fried chicken, but like it's not. It's just not the same as how you guys do it.
Yep. So anyhow, now that we're all starving,
yeah, no doubt.
Here's an interesting question. I think you can both answer this, but this is again aimed at Sean because he's our special guest. Daniel McCullough asks us, "What is your opinion of when we non-Scots try to talk or type in a Scottish accent or manner?" Yeah.
Okay, the now.
Okay, the new.
Yep.
Oh, the new. Excuse me.
Yeah, this is a hard one because whenever I hear someone not from Scotland trying to speak with a Scottish accent, like my brain like melts inside. Like I just want to like fold up, and it's not that anyone wants to make fun of someone who tries to do it. It's like so blindingly obvious when someone does it, and it's like so not correct. And sometimes somebody will try it and they'll be more Irish than they are Scottish, and so it's like a natural reaction that I can't control. Like in my head, I'll just like want to shut down and like curl up. But again, it's not because I want to make fun of the person who's doing it, because it's actually cool people.
It's cringe.
Yeah, it's just like a natural like, and I guess it's probably the same if I tried to do something like American accent as well.
Go ahead. I want to hear.
I'm not going to do it.
I'll say I watch a lot of BBC, and when you have a British actor trying to do an American accent, this is how the Americans talk, and it's
like you get this kind of involuntary reaction to it, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, some actors are really good. Some actors, you know, I have a lot of admiration for actors who can do that, that can change accents and all the rest of it. But historically, even actors who have portrayed Scottish people in the past have been very bad. You know, I want to say, you know, Mel Gibson always gets the rap for Braveheart, right? I actually think he wasn't the worst. He wasn't bad.
I didn't think he was too bad.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. But
why we hate the Braveheart movie, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people that have portrayed Scots and different things. Even Outlander, you know, obviously the main actors are Sam Heughan, for example, Scottish, but there's a lot of kind of other actors who weren't Scottish who did, and you can really tell. And it's not like it's not a bad thing. Like I don't feel offended. I just have this like uncontrollable reaction that, you know, shut my ears.
So, do you do any accents?
No, I tend not to for that very reason, because I know it doesn't work out. Like I for example spend a lot of time in London and England, and I know sometimes people have difficulty understanding me, and so I try and soften my accent, but I would never attempt to make like an English accent, because it just wouldn't. I couldn't.
I so want him to have some kind of other accent.
We'll try that. We'll do that off camera. We'll do a short. We'll do like a reel or something. We'll do an accent.
Well,
you notice he got his he got a little thicker for a second there. We'll do a little short there.
Did I?
Yeah, you did. Almost like you did it on purpose.
It must be the whiskey.
Oh, don't know the accent there, are you?
Oh God, stop.
Yeah, I can't even approach a Scottish accent. I can mock an Irish one, but I'm not good. I can do Forrest Gump though. Stupid is as stupid does.
I can do a pretty good Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
That is good. I like that.
Thank you very much. I'm not doing it very well.
But you know, one of the interesting things with this conversation is as well, like in Scotland, people are surprised the fact that even it's a very small country, but between Edinburgh and Glasgow, for example, you can drive between the two cities within an hour, but the accents are totally different.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so if somebody tries the accent or tries to type, like you're probably not going to be doing the one that's appropriate to the area anyway. So there's that.
My favorite mini factoid is the BBC did some kind of documentary on Glasgow, and they had to subtitle it for the rest of the country. I freaking love that.
Yeah.
No, I'm not offended when people try to do a Philly accent or a Boston accent or a New York accent.
With Jersey?
Yeah, a Jersey.
Jersey accent?
Yeah.
on.
It's not offensive to me, but if you go out of country, maybe a little. So as an American, I wouldn't try to fake. If I'm in Ireland, I wouldn't try to do an Irish accent. It would just be disrespectful as hell. I'm gonna see an Irish person, I'm gonna curse right there, so I already screwed it up. But I wouldn't do it. It's not. It feels weird, and it feels like you're trying too hard, and you're making it into a caricature. The only slight caveat I would give, or the slight left hand turn you could take, is if you know exactly what you're doing and know where to place certain phrases or words in a sentence. If you're using a Scottish word or phrase or slang that you know what you're doing, then yes, you could use that, but I wouldn't try to fake the accent. Yeah. Like if I'm talking, like Americans, like you have a drawer, a junk drawer, or a drawer for your bric-a-brac. In Scots, in Scottish person would say like, oh, it's just for the bits and bobs. Yeah. So over time, I've sort of, through speaking to suppliers and speaking to people like Sean and like this guy, I've picked up on a lot of different mannerisms and a lot of small phrases that I will use and incorporate into my lexicon that I wouldn't otherwise have done. But if I didn't know Scottish people, or I wasn't speaking to Scottish people on a regular basis. Earlier today, I interviewed Sean, and I was talking about those out with Scotland, meaning those people outside of Scotland. But out with Scotland is how a Scottish person would say that. So I'm using it in the appropriate context, but I'm not trying to fake an accent with it. I'm just using their phrases in my daily speech. That, in my mind, would be fine as long as you know how to use the phrase or the word appropriately. If you're trying to jam it into a sentence just to use it, then it could feel awkward as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if there's loads of words you can use that we use in Scotland, and it'd be totally fine to use it. But I take it to the next level with this conversation. Like, one of my most embarrassing videos that I've ever done that I look at every single time and I don't want to watch it anymore.
Is that the OnlyFans?
No, that's not. No, we'll talk about that later. So I did a video, and it's my most popular video on my channel. It's had over 1 million views. It was me attempting a Glaswegian accent. So I can't even do a Glaswegian accent.
Oh,
it sounds terrible. Like, and I can imagine, and I got a lot of hate from Glaswegians, rightfully, for trying to do their accent. And so that's the level we're talking here. I wouldn't even do a Glaswegian accent, or shouldn't, because it doesn't sound right.
That's like our one of our most popular videos was our Americans Try Haggis video, and oh boy, did that get people?
No, we didn't do accents for the record.
No. Yeah. But it was just that people sensed they had a cringy reaction, like they took it as cringe.
Yeah.
But sometimes you can't win for losing.
I want to hear one. Give me one American accent, whether it's Boston, whether it's New York, the South, California. Give me something.
California. You can't
people
say the South.
Well, yeah. Talking from Georgia with a little bit of molasses just spilling out of your mouth. It's Andy from The Office. I'm quoting there. Give me something. The viewers need to.
I'm really bad at this. Really bad at this.
Your public demands, Sean.
And I actually struggle to differentiate as well. Like I can hear the difference, obviously, between New York and Texas, for example. They've got a very strong accent, but trying to replicate it, it's going to get a lot of people mad.
That's what's fun, though. If you have not made at least a few enemies, you have not stood for anything, Sean.
Right. Give me a Texas accent.
I don't know a Texas accent.
Texas? Well, it's
Texas,
kind of
yeah.
a little bit clipped. You know, like, I sure do appreciate it.
I sure do appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
I sure do appreciate it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, man.
Don't do accents. Okay, never mind. That was horrible. I love you. That was horrible.
Oh,
Oh,
the rest of the
Texas, I apologize.
Here's the funny thing. A lot of those accents do come from Scottish, Irish, and Scots-Irish folks who immigrated to those areas.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing about it.
It's weird. I love watching like shows on like different accents and pockets of things, and like between like Philly and Pittsburgh, there's different accents, and yins.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, like Philly would say like use guys.
We say that in Scotland. Use.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Or we'd say John is another one. John it's overrated. Philly, you use John for like, hey, yo, that John over there. You see the John down over there? You know, it's a word that it means like everything and nothing. Pittsburgh has yins.
Yins.
I don't know what yins. It feels weird. I don't like saying yins. I could never live in Pittsburgh.
No, yins is what's the context
It's
of that?
yous. It's like yins.
Yeah.
It's you people, you guys, yins.
In Scotland, we say yin for meaning one.
The big yin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been corrected on my attempt at Texas. So that's fine.
Which I then copied.
Yeah.
Oh, it's doubly bad.
Don't trust me.
Ever. All right, that's enough.
I think
Sorry,
that's
I
more
put you
than
on the spot.
enough.
Had to.
Let's get back to some dispelling the gatekeeping myths. Gent going by Laser Vibes, which is an awesome handle, by the way. Puerto Rican and African American, and he's concerned. I'm not Scottish at all, but my mother has a last name of Gilmore. Would it be inappropriate to wear the Gilmore cap badge?
For me, absolutely not. I mean,
I would say it's see, the cap badge is a little bit of a weird one. Essentially, what it is, it's a symbol. It's the crest of the clan, and then the belt that's around it is basically pledging fealty to that clan. So there is more symbolism in some ways to a cap badge than there is in a kilt. That said, if your mom is a Gilmore, I don't think I would have an issue with it. And 98% of the people aren't going to like, hey, are you a Gilmore or what? I see that cap badge there. No one is going to know what it is. Now, but I will also draw the parallel to it's kind of similar in certain ways to a tartan. It's what it means to you. If you're wearing a piece of Native American turquoise jewelry because your mom was Native American or something like that, are people going to give you a hard time for that? No. So I don't think people should give you a hard time. I'm just transplanting the thought to different cultures.
that's a really good example because I've actually wore a bolo tie that I was given by one of my viewers, and that's a treasured piece for me. It's a turquoise piece of jewelry, and it's obviously not because I have any connection personally with that culture, but it's a meaningful thing for me because it reminds me that I've got some really awesome viewers from New Mexico. Who are part of that culture, and I feel like I was welcomed by that, and so for me, like in the reverse, I can't see anyone having a problem with the idea of the tartan. Not that there's some nuance with the cat badge as you said, but generally speaking, in terms of like the tartans and stuff, like even in Scotland, certainly I don't see anyone would have an issue with that.
Yeah. I find it interesting that they were asking about the clan regalia, the cap badge, rather than the tartan, which is what we're usually asked. Yeah. But still stands. I mean,
and I will say this: just to address the first part of his comment, whether you are black, white, yellow, or purple, it doesn't matter. I'm not black. I'm not Puerto Rican. I'm mostly of German lineage. So I wear a kilt, and I have zero shame in doing so. I've built a company around wearing a kilt. So it doesn't matter. And we have, plenty of, black customers, plenty of Puerto Rican customers, Latino customers. That doesn't matter. It's almost immaterial. You can just put that wholly to the side. It's, do you have an affinity for it? Do you have some kind of family lineage, anything pointing that direction? Or do you just love Scotland, love the bagpipes, love tartan, love all of it, and you want to jump in? Have at it.
Again, it goes back to like nostalgia, right? That word of nostalgia. Do you have a memory that's important to you that connects you to that? And if you do, that's something that you're going to remember for the rest of your life, right? It's a good memory. Like either you went there or, you watched something you like, you thought it was cool. There's lots of reasons why you would have that kind of nostalgic feeling of warmth towards tartan, kilts, Scottish culture, and all the rest of it. And go for it.
Yeah, I think if this person wants to honor their mother and their mother's background, who the hell is anybody else to say they can't do that?
100%.
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't get to make that call for someone else.
They don't get to control you. And
Right.
as Eric and I have said multiple times, if you are a sincere student of the culture and you're doing it for the right reasons, and it's not just a plaything that you're slapping on there as a gaff, then have at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mr. Eric.
Let me give you, this is one just for you, Rocky. This is totally vintage fashion one. Tie M23.
Not tie-dye. Thank you.
No, it's a technical name. They're undercover. Said, would kilt rosettes be better for evening wear than a kilt pin, or is that too old-fashioned?
By the way, what's a rosette? Can you explain this for anyone who
You ever
might
seen
not
one
know?
like a bagpiper, especially if they're a military bagpiper? They have those little round ribbony things going down the side of the kilt.
Yes.
Those are rosettes.
Yeah.
Rosette is basically, it's a take a piece of tartan,
Yeah.
okay, or a strip of fabric, and then connect the ends and ruche or squish in the middle, so it's kind of like a flower looking
yeah.
thing with essentially two flags hanging out the bottom.
Got you.
That's a rosette.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. It would. Rosettes tend to be more of a statement. If it's tartan, is it the same tartan as the kilt? You got to worry about that kind of thing. Even if it's solid color, I think it's big. A rosette, just for your reference, is typically 4 inches or so in diameter, and then go some flags going down. Am I off in this, Eric, or no?
I don't think you always have the flags necessarily, but yeah, it is definitely more often a military decoration at this point.
Yeah.
Is it the same idea as the Jacobites? They used to put like a
that was a cockade, but it is similar. Yeah.
similar idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there also is some kind of military overtones potentially to it. So it's not stolen valor, but it is. You're giving. You're kind of nodding to something, or you're kind of potentially, signaling a particular direction that you may not want to be signaling. For me, I would never wear a rosette as instead of a kilt pin. I would either wear a kilt pin or not, period, and kind of end of. See, that's another Scottish type thing. End of.
Yeah. End
period.
of.
Done. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Americans don't typically say, but I kind of work it into my lexicon. There you go.
Picked up a lot of things like that from my mom.
Yeah.
We're English family and friends from Australia and stuff. So we have like the hell you say and boot instead of trunk and
I love all these differences.
Bits and bobs.
Yeah.
Kind of things like that.
All right.
Yeah. Okay. So somebody was asking about helping Scottish tourists in America, but we did have. I want to make sure we have surely covered this. Practical. Jim Robertson says, my family will be touring Scotland next summer, attending the Edinburgh Military Tattoo, among other things like visiting Inverness and Balmoral, Isle of Skye, Glasgow, Culloden. They're trying to go everywhere, even the Orkneys. So would wearing the kilt be seen as an homage to his roots, or would it just be another tourist stunt? I think you kind of addressed this earlier. Or would wearing the kilt hose and an Aran sweater be inappropriate, for example?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we did. This is something that we discuss, and I think the tattoo, for one example, you'll see lots of people wearing the kilt there for lots of different reasons. So that's not going to be out of place. But there's nowhere in that list of places you mentioned. In fact, there's nowhere I can think in Scotland where you would wear a kilt and anyone would think you're out of place or that you're like some kind of dumb tourist or anything. It's not like that. Just wouldn't come into it really. I think wherever you go in Scotland, and that sounds like an amazing trip, by the way.
Yeah, it does.
One I would like to do. I've been to a lot of these places individually, but doing it all in a one, that sounds awesome. I cannot see that it's just not going to be an issue. In fact, it's going to look great, and you're going to get some awesome photos on that trip by wearing the kilt.
Yeah.
And that's actually one point. Like, if you want to take some great photos on your holiday or on tour, like, I can think of no better reason for wearing the kilt because it's going to stand out. The kilts look good in the Highlands.
Absolutely.
There you go.
No, I'm of the same mind as that, and I would also say this. So you're going to Scotland as a tourist, and you're wearing a kilt because you want to have that connection and that different kind of feeling with wearing a kilt in the land. But you're going as a tourist, and you're afraid you're going to be seen as a tourist. You are, and there's nothing wrong with that. The tourism industry in Scotland is huge, and it's okay to be a tourist. You don't want to try to pass yourself off as something you're not. You don't want to have a fake Scottish accent, like Sean. No, no, you don't want to have a fake Scottish accent.
By the way, they say that about us in Edinburgh. That is a thing. People in Glasgow, they say we have a fake Scottish accent.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you are a tourist, and so what's the worst thing that's going to happen? People are going to see you as a tourist. Oh no, they're going to help you if you get lost on the train. Like, it doesn't matter. It's fine. Embrace it. You're there supporting their culture, supporting their economy, supporting, all these different shops that you're going to be going visiting. You're going, as long as you're not doing something rude or untoward or spitting on everything. It doesn't matter as long as you're not talking loud to people, because they can understand you more if you talk loud and slow. It's as long as you're not being the typical ugly American, you'll be fine. And if anything, wearing the kilt is going to ingratiate yourself a bit. Just wear it naturally. Wear it, I'd say, if anything, practice at home a little bit. Practice out in the world, just getting comfortable in it, wearing it as a piece of clothing, and then work it into how you wear it. And then when you go across, wear it the same way. It's okay. So, yes, if you want to think about different places where you're going to get a little bit more, you can, I won't say blend in, but you're going to have maybe a few other people in kilts. A tattoo is a great example of that, because there's going to be a lot more people in kilts there. But
and they're all tourists.
But generally speaking, you're not going to see a lot of people in Scotland wearing kilts. Just be okay with it and do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's more on us than it is on anyone else.
Yeah.
So maybe we should change that.
So
start a movement.
Let's reverse it. What are your top tips for any tourists from abroad coming to the United States?
Yeah, I think probably a lot of the same things ring true. Mm-hmm. Be respectful. Be open. Don't come in here with your ingrained beliefs and start trying to put your own culture on other people, because that's just not a good thing to do anywhere, right? Things are different here, and it's different for a reason, and that's what makes it special and good, right? Some things people are going to agree with, some things other people you're not going to agree with. Like we talked about tipping, for example. That's not part of my culture, but I don't come here and say you guys are wrong. It's just different, and that's people should come here, be respectful, and understand that things are going to be different, and that's what makes it beautiful. And people are going to be different. You're going to meet people from all walks of life, and that's the beauty of it. I think people just need to come here respectfully and be open-minded and say yes to more things.
I like that.
I like saying yes to more things. The other thing I will kind of toss out there is one thing we talked about earlier, which is we have more commonalities than you think, and nothing is ever as bad as you think it is going to be. If you turn down the noise that you see on social media, turn down the noise from the news, turn down the noise from all the rest of life, and just go in with less preconceived notions of coming to America or going somewhere else in the world, and just go into it like a child. Go into it with eyes wide open, just to go there to experience it, and don't think oh, I have to worry about this or worry about that. Don't worry about worrying. Yeah. Just go in with wonder. Go in with a desire to learn, and not a desire to judge, or not a desire to avoid things. Just go in with a desire to experience things for what they really are. And when you do that, you're going to have a whole different perspective. And you're going to see the true America, the true Scotland, the true Ireland. You're going to see culture that you've never thought about, or that you were never taught about, or that you never see in the news because it's not newsworthy. You're going to see how people actually are. And that's the beauty of travel. That's the beauty of experiencing different cultures, is you get to see how things really are, and cut and filter out all the bullshit that we have to deal with every single day and see how people actually are. And when you do that, you see how similar we are across all cultures.
Yeah.
You'll find so many more commonalities than you do differences.
Yeah, definitely, 100%, I think. And to add to that, and I will admit as well, I think it's important to say that, you know, it's easy to get caught up in that news cycle. It's very easy. It's easy to get caught up in that. It's easy to get caught up in social media. And I will admit that on most of my trips to the States this year and previous years, for the weeks before it, I tend to get a little bit nervous. And that's because the news, things happen, big events. You think, whoa, wow, that's kind of scary, right? And then I'll also get comments from people in the States that say, be careful, there's a lot of trouble in that place, right?
Mm.
I got that about Philadelphia. I got
You
that
gotta
about
watch
Washington.
those guys in Philly.
Yeah, but I got the same about Washington D.C. People said, be careful there, it's really dangerous. Whenever that's happened, and it's happened with every single place that I've been in the States so far, people have said the same things. I've seen the social media, I've seen the news stories. I've become nervous in the days before traveling, and as soon as I've arrived here, that's melted away within a day just by speaking to a couple of people. Things are not as bad as they seem, and that's not to downplay any of the things that are going on sometimes with all countries, not just here, right? There's some big issues, but they're not as bad as they seem, and people are not as divided as they seem.
Yeah,
True that.
absolutely.
So I'm gonna throw a bone to a gent who's been trying to get you in for a couple of times now. Angus wanted to say, "Hey from Edinburgh," to you.
Nice.
Sean, could you explain a little bit about the Scots language and maybe recommend some folks promoting the Renaissance of the Lead?
Yeah.
Now you had mentioned, I know you've talked to us a little bit about being forced to learn Gaelic or whatnot in primary school, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to repeat yourself a little bit.
Definitely. This is a really important subject. So a lot of people might not know this, especially in a US audience, but I certainly remember when I was at school as a kid in the 90s that speaking Scots was discouraged. Definitely discouraged because it was seen as lesser. It was seen as common. It was seen as, can I say, thuggish?
Slangy kind
Slangy.
of. It's not proper.
Yeah, and if you want to progress in life, if you want to get
Barbarous.
the best job, if you want to go to university, you can't speak like that. And that's something that's been deeply ingrained in the Scottish society for a number of years now. And it's a great shame because that, I think, contributed a lot to how some people feel about Scotland and Scots as a language. That's what it is. Scots, to me, in my mind, for many years was a slang. And many people's parents also taught them that as well. And it wasn't from malice on parents' side. It was just because, you know, there was a lot of, recessions and all the rest of it over time. People want their best for their kids. They want them to progress and get good jobs and all the rest of it. And it was always seen as the fact that if you speak like that, you're not going to progress in life. You're going to be a common, working class Scottish person.
Right.
But there's this movement now where people are saying, hold on a minute. What's wrong with being a proud working class Scottish person? What's wrong with reclaiming our language that is a language? It's not slang. It's something we speak because it's where we're from, and that's how we speak. And actually, it's not something that's new. It's been spoken for hundreds and hundreds of years. Now, there's massive debate online. If you go on Twitter and search some of the people who are trying to revive the language, there's a lot of young people, by the way, and I think it's been led by young people, this kind of renaissance of the Scots Lead. The abuse that they get from Scottish people, from other Scottish people, for trying to progress the language. People say you're making up a language, and
Now-
that's really sad to see.
Now, here's the question for you: Are they, in speaking Scots, are they trying to say that it is a different language than English? So you would speak Scots with certain friends who also speak Scots, but if there's somebody you're speaking to, maybe from Edinburgh or somewhere where it's a little bit more posh,
Yes.
that they would speak, regular English
Yep.
versus Scots.
Well, here's the thing, right? I never realized this until recently, until this conversation came up.
There's a
I'm
difference.
that I'm multilingual.
Yeah.
I never realized this, and most Scottish people, especially from a working class background like I am, don't realize this, and they can flip between the two. Right now, I'm not speaking Scots.
Yeah.
I'm speaking English because this is an international audience. I work in London and I know how to turn it on. When I speak to my friends, and you can people who are around me when I'm on the phone.
Give us a bit.
Oh, it's hard to do. Like, it sounds really unnatural if I'm not speaking to my friends, right? But if I phone out one of my friends and started speaking Scots, like, my wife will tell you, she'll not understand a word I'm speaking. But in my head, it never clicked that I'm speaking another language. It's been multilingual, because you can switch between two languages. Some people will say it's a dialect, and in some ways it is. It takes the form of a dialect.
Figure it out. You can pick it up a little bit. Yeah.
But then when you look back at history, at people like Rabbie Burns, who wrote exclusively in this language, with massive books, writing lots of words, then you realise actually that can't be anything other than a language. To be able to write books as elaborate as they were about lots of different subjects and poetry in that language. And so there is a movement now of young people, and there's a lot of people on Twitter who are really, this is what they talk about, is the Scots language and you know, keeping it alive and bringing it to the forefront. And they get such abuse for it. Really, it's really quite nasty, which is a great shame. But there's a movement of bringing it back and letting people like myself realise that actually what we've spoken since a young age is a language, and it is different between different parts of Scotland. For example, in the north east, Aberdeen and up, they have Doric, which is another
ancient language.
Ancient language / dialect. You know, it's debatable, but it's very different. It's very unique, and so it's a really interesting topic. That I think Scots is a fascinating subject, but actually it's existed for hundreds of years. We've had it. It was an official part of the Scottish government for a long time before the days of Scotland joining the Union. That's how legal documents were written.
Right.
And so it's a language. It's just that I think 80s, 90s, when I grew up, it was seen as lesser.
The interesting debate to me is, where does it become a dialect versus its own language? Or where is it just an accent versus its own language? Because like in America, you know, we were talking about earlier, whether you have, you know, from Boston or from the South, like it's or you know, there's different ways or different phrases and different, you know, little euphemisms that people have that make it different, and somebody from, you know, one area may not understand someone from another area if they use particular words. But at what point does this scale tip and you say, okay, this is no longer a dialect, or this is no longer an accent, this is a wholly new different thing?
Yeah, I mean, well, in this conversation I've been speaking the Queen's English but with a Scottish accent. That's an accent, right? You can tell it's not American English.
Yeah.
So that's where you define, I think, the accent part of it. Where it becomes a language is where you start introducing words like I, dinny, ken, these type of words, which are actually Scots words.
Yeah.
And we kind of interchange them sometimes with our English, depending on who we're speaking to. And like I said, when you flip over to speaking to somebody who's like from your neighbourhood where you grew up, then it totally flips into another language, and I dare say that you guys might not understand it as well. Certainly,
Ken means do not know.
Yeah,
I know that.
No, but there's like a lot more to it. Like
I know there is.
But like, I think it's a really interesting debate, this, and it's something that I'm really glad that there's lots of young people now taking this forward and actually standing up and saying, let's be proud of this. It's not something that should be oppressed anymore.
Yeah.
The original person who asked the question is mentioning a dictionary or works by someone named Len Penny.
Yes, she's one of the Twitter people who are taking this forward. One of the young girls on Twitter, and she's really good. She's like, she takes a lot of abuse, but she's very firm in this. Like, she wants to keep the language alive, and that's how she speaks, and she just wants to be proud of it, and that's great.
Cool.
Nice.
Hopefully that gives a bit of a picture, but it is a heated debate. I'm not going to say that it's not, and there's a lot of people who are in Scotland who would quite happily shut it down.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. Way to end the show, Sean. It's sad now.
That time already?
Yeah.
I thought we were just getting started.
Is it 5 o'clock? Yeah, it's 5 o'clock.
It is 5 o'clock. Would you guys
5
like one or two more questions?
Let's do one. One more. We're going to go overtime. Special guest, special elongated show.
Okay. This is one from a while back from our archive, actually. Anadera Lopez says, this may sound like a strange question, but what if one has several tartans that he or she can relate to? Can you mix tartans together, or should a particular tartan design take precedence? For example, if one's lineage on both mother and father have a tartan, which one would you choose? We've answered this many times before. This will be in keeping with the theme of the show, I think. But
Yep.
what do you do if you have an embarrassment of riches of tartans?
Yeah. So I'll let you kind of start off on this one.
Yeah, so my opinion, I think throughout the show I've been talking about the reasons why I think you can basically do what you want and make up your own rules based on how you feel. This nostalgia that a certain tartan brings you. Like I said, it could just be the fact that you visited an area. And let's say that you belong to Clan MacDonald or whatever, but actually you went to the Isle of Skye one day and you loved it and you loved the tartan and that's a special memory for you. In my opinion, what's wrong with actually saying, okay, that's what I'm going to wear today, and mix and match? And as long as there's definitely style rules in general about mix and matching colours. And there are probably things that are beyond my pay grade in terms of like colour clashes, but I think you can be as playful as you want, and I am of the opinion, and not everyone will agree with this, but you can be as playful as you want with this and not necessarily have to stick to the clan colour code based on the things that I know from growing up in Scotland. It's not something that we take that seriously in Scotland in terms of you belong to this family, you can only wear this tartan.
Right. Americans tend to be, at the risk of retreading ground here, Americans tend to be very concerned about doing something wrong, and it's coming from a good place. It's coming from wanting to be respectful of another culture that they have not grown up in and they are not immediately part of. They can't walk out their door and just see the Highlands in the background. They're very removed from it, or maybe they're generations removed from it. So they're coming from a good place of wanting to know the right way to do things. Typically, what we tell people is, you go through the paternal line. I've heard other people that want to go through the maternal line because of reasons. Whether the reason is, I don't like my dad's tartan, or my dad was a jerk and he left my mom and, we've lived on our own since I was a wee lad, or a small child, for those who don't speak. No, but it's one of those things where it is a personal choice. It is what you want to do. It is your tartan. It is no one else's. No one else has to look in that mirror. No one else has to wear it. No one else should have an opinion on what you're wearing on your body. So it's one of those things where, yes, you want to be reasonably respectful. You want to understand the rules before you break them. But from what Sean is saying, as a full-on Scottish person from Scotland, it doesn't matter as much to them, and more Americans tend to be a little bit more concerned about these matters than Scots tend to be.
Definitely, 100%. Like we were talking earlier about weddings, for example, and weddings, I think people will choose based on the colours that they like rather than something that's necessarily related to their family. They will line up all their grooms, and they'll all wear the same thing because it looks good in the photos.
Yep.
And that's what matters to people, Does it look good? Does it make you feel good? Does it give you a memory?
Yep. Absolutely. And that is how you should proceed, sir. All right. Now, at the end of the show, typically we do a question of the day. So, do you have a question that you would like feedback on from your audience, my audience, all of it?
Yeah, I think, actually, this is a really good opportunity for me to then kind of gauge people's thoughts and opinions. But, I've kind of traveled around a lot of places in the States now. I would like to get people's thoughts in the comments of wherever you're watching this. Where should I come to next? Why? I would like to know, is there particular Scottish events I should come to and learn more? I want to know where I should come, because this is a big country. I feel like I've seen a lot of it, but actually I've just scratched the surface. I want to have real experiences. Like, let me know places you think that cannot be missed in the States, and it doesn't have to be big cities. It can be tiny places in the middle of nowhere. Let me know.
Very good. I like that. That's a good question. Let them know. All right. Boys and girls, thank you for tuning in. Again, you can catch Sean at Sean Vlogs over on Facebook. If you're watching Sean's channel, you can catch USA Kilts over at usakilts.com, or any social media, just look for USA Kilts, and we do these videos once a month. Until next time, boys and girls, Slàinte mhath.
Slàinte.